Om Shanti. Wish you all happy Raksha Bandhan. We often ask this question to ourselves as to, I listen to the knowledge, I am in knowledge, and yet, why is that I'm still laboring in any situation, in any relationship, or on the path of success? Today's Murli is an answer to all of these questions. Also, we have this question to ourselves as to the Father, the ocean of knowledge, is giving us so many things, such wonderful jewels from his treasure. And why am I laboring yet to imbibe this knowledge in my daily practice and become an embodiment? So very practical, Murli. And today Baba uses this axis through an absolutely different power than what we speak about, the 8 powers. The Baba says, if you have this power, it'll be easy for you to even imbibe the 8 powers. So let's read this Murli together, which is dated 7th of April, 1981. Title of the Murli is The Experience of Becoming an Embodiment of All Powers by Using Your Churning Power. The experience of becoming an embodiment of all powers by using your churning power. So while we read and listen to this Murli today, let's give this one promise to ourselves that whatever we are listening today, each word of this Murli, we look at churning while we are reading as well as throughout the day as to what's that I need to bring forward as a soul to imbibe the knowledge, experience it, and become an embodiment. Today, Bab Dada is very pleased to see all his long lost and now found children from the previous cycle. Just as the Father remembers deep love, all of you children with deep love, in the same way, all of you children are also engaged day and night in constantly remembering the Father and following his elevated directions. Having seen the love of all of you children and how all of you are busy doing service with so much love in your hearts, Bab Dada is giving special thanks to you all. Seeing the renunciation behind the fortune of you children, Bab Dada constantly congratulates you for your renunciation. Seeing the renunciation, the underlying word here is renunciation. So be in that space to look at, why is Baba congratulating me and what is that I, the soul, have renunciated? Seeing the renunciation behind the fortune of you children, Bab Dada constantly congratulates you for your renunciation. Bab Dada is also pleased to see how all of you children are united in the one thought of revealing the Father and making yourselves complete. In the one thought of revealing the Father and making yourselves complete. By constantly keeping in your awareness the difference between what you were and what you have become, all of you constantly have this godly intoxication. Let's take a moment and go back to our life before we got in knowledge and what have we received after coming in knowledge. By constantly keeping in your awareness the difference between what you were and what you have become, all of you constantly have this godly intoxication. When Bapdada sees this, he also sees with great spiritual intoxication, "Wah, confidence-aged children, wah, how wonderful you are. You are all so fortunate that even today, in your last birth, you are all so fortunate that even today, in your last birth, people paint portraits of your fortune with the tilak of praise on their foreheads through songs on their lips with pictures they have drawn with their hands and with love in their eyes. So while I was reading this today morning, the reflection that I have here, and I'm sure that's what Baba is speaking here about, is even in your last birth, even in this confluence age, we see in the on the path on the path of devotion how people worship and what happens when we see people in the temple or even celebrating any auspicious festival. Baba says people paint portraits of your fortune. So the deities or the pictures of deities that we see is none other than the conference age children who become pure and then come in the golden age. And it is in their memory that these idols are being worshipped. Paint portraits of your fortune with the tilak of praise on their foreheads. So tilak has been applied on the deities as well as tilak is applied on all those souls who are participating in that particular event. And if we have attended any kirtans or any bhajans that happens, we see that there is so much of praise being sung about the deity with pictures they have drawn with their hands and with love in their eyes. The whole atmosphere is so elevated even when we visit and we participate in any kirtan or bhajan mandalis or we go to temple, and it is just a memory of who you are, is what Baba says here. Even now, they are waiting for the auspicious moment when you elevated souls will come back to them again. Even now, they are waiting for the auspicious moment when your elevated souls will come back to them again. They're desperately invoking you. Similarly, you souls are so fortunate that the Father Himself sings praise of your fortune. Some lines before Baba has mentioned, Wah children, Wah. And that's our fortune. That Baba says, all the service that you're doing, He's congratulating us, praising us. You souls are so fortunate that the Father Himself sings praise of your fortune. The last devotees even worship your feet. They simply ask you to give them refuge. You are such great souls. This is why Bab Dada is very pleased to see you. Therefore, remain constantly aware of the portrait of your elevated form and your elevated fortune. What will happen by doing this? With your powerful awareness and your portrait of perfection, your character will also remain constantly very elevated. With your powerful awareness and your portrait of perfection, your character will also remain constantly very elevated. It is said, as is your portrait, your face, so is your character. As is your awareness, so is your stage. Jaisi spriti, vaisi sthiti. When you constantly maintain a powerful awareness, your stage automatically remains constantly powerful. Constantly keep your portrait of perfection in which all your virtues and all your powers are merged. Constantly keep your portrait of perfection in which all your virtues and all your powers are merged in front of you. By keeping such a portrait in front of you, your character will automatically become elevated. You will not need to labor. You have to labor when you lack churning power. Throughout the day, keep churning this. Constantly keep your elevated portrait in front of you, and with churning power, your laboring will end. You have heard plenty of knowledge. You speak a lot too. So, why do you experience yourselves to be weak as you move along? Why do you experience everything to be hard work? Why do you think that something is difficult? It's because you do not churn it after hearing it. Just as it is essential for your body to have the power to digest after eating, the power to churn is just as essential to make your souls powerful. By using your churning power, churning the knowledge that you receive from the Father becomes your own experience. And then, with the power to digest food, what happens? The food turns in the form of blood, and that becomes the strength in the form for the body. The energy of the food becomes strength for the body. The food does not remain separate from the body. In the same way, when you churn every point of knowledge, that knowledge becomes your own strength. For instance, the first point of the soul is I, the soul, am the master. After hearing this and churning it, you become an embodiment of it. That awareness makes you powerful. I am a master. This experience makes you powerful. So, how did you then become that? On the basis of your churning power, how did you become that? On the basis of your churning power. So, one reflection here is when I stand in the knowledge point and churn it that who I am is a soul and I am a master, what that I can bring forward, that I am beyond this body, I'm beyond any circumstances, any situations, and laboring ends there. And that also allows I, the soul, to see other human being also as a soul. We can churn this further while we then start sharing our thoughts from today's Murli. So, the first point of knowledge of the soul is being an embodiment of experience. Similarly, take the point of the knowledge of the drama. You do not just speak about or hear the point that whatever happens is the drama, but while you move along, you experience yourself to be a hero actor. Then, by using your churning power, you become an embodiment of that experience. This is the special power of the soul. What is the special power of the soul? The churning power, which allows us to experience the knowledge and then be an embodiment of the same by imbibing it. The greatest power is to be an embodiment of experience. Those who are experienced constantly move along with the authority of their experience. Experienced people can never be deceived. Experienced people would not allow themselves to be disturbed by anyone or to get upset by hearsay. One word of an experienced person is far more valuable than 1,000 words of someone else. Experienced souls remain constantly full of the treasure of their experiences. Those who experience every point of knowledge with churning power are constantly powerful, Maya proof, and obstacle proof. Those who experience every point of knowledge, the churning power, are constantly powerful, Maya proof and obstacle proof. They become like Angat. They can shake others, but cannot be shaken themselves. So, do you now understand what you have to do? Let's take a pause here and we shall continue the rest of the Murli tomorrow. Let's take few moments of silence and then we can share our takeaways from today's Murli. You can unmute and share your takeaways or any reflections.
Om Shanti, sister. Today, Baba
Shanti.
told that if you lack the power of churning, then you have to labor. So that point is very much touched for me, sister. Om Shanti.
Yes, sister.
Om Shanti sister, good morning.
Good morning.
The realization that my faith in the Supreme, which is the God, exists in the form of a point, and we being His children are also conscient points of energy, was the realization that I got. I have to churn more on that, and I mean, that takes me to that point that we are soul conscious. Actually, we have to be soul conscious and not body conscious. Because when the initial faith started, it would exist only that yes, God exists in some point of energy. It is not a deity the way in the Lokic world it is practiced. But then that realization doesn't come that the way he is, his children also would be like that. And now once that realization is coming up, it is changing altogether. That takes us to the next level of being soul conscious, that the other people in the world are also are souls. They are not just bodies, they are actually souls, and that takes us away from the consciousness of them being male or female and so on. That is one realization that I was getting when this probably was being rendered. Thank you. Om Shanti.
Yes, brother. Continuing to that, I think Baba also took the same point in the Murli today, where he mentioned the very first lesson of who I am is the master. And while you were sharing further on this point, what reflection that I was getting was, why did Baba say that I'm a master? Because he says that you are an energy beyond everything. You are that point of light, soul, and you have all of those treasures that the Father has given it to you. Only thing that we need to do is churn, experience it, imbibe it, and then also have other souls around us experience the same. And as you rightly said, the moment either souls starts looking at other human beings as a point of light and a soul, the whole jhamela, I'm using that word jhamela of why the person is doing this way, that way, all comes to a standstill because either soul have the knowledge that I have got from the Almighty. as to what is the original nature of the soul, and by the knowledge of this simple thing of being in soul consciousness, resolves so many things in the world. Thank you for bringing that point up, Vinod Bhai.
Om Shanti. Very
Om
good morning to
Shanti.
everyone. Mm, Very good morning. I just love the point, the example which Baba has given today. My Baba has given today regarding the as we take the food, it has to be digested to turn it into blood and give strength. In the same way, we need to churn each and every point of our knowledge to get, and it becomes your energy. Om Shanti.
Yes, and this reminds me about how a cow eats. You know, there's so much of rumination of the food that the cow takes in. So if we bring that back to the point of churning, uh, and making whatever the point of knowledge is as not being different than me, being one, that's the path to move forward and imbibe the knowledge. So churning, 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 and then practicing it and bringing in our own experience is the path to be an embodiment of the knowledge and imbibe the knowledge.
Om Shanti. So Baba says the greatest power is to become an embodiment of experience, and the embodiment of experience that we can become is by through doing this churning. And Baba said that first is to we have to. There are two examples that Baba gave. Is one is the point, right? Perform the soul, right? And then second is the drama. So knowing this is not really helping us, but when we really churn and become an embodiment of it, that's when we really experience it. And when we experience it, right, then that is when we go with it forward, right? Anything that we experience, we become an authority of it, right? So when we become an authority of it, then it becomes easy for us to use that piece of knowledge in our day-to-day life on a timely basis, right at the time of need. So so it's very important that Baba says, churn the knowledge so that your laboring everything finishes. Om Shanti. Thank you.
Yeah, and he emphasizes this by saying that somebody who is experienced will never be deceived.
Yeah. And the easy way to become Maya proof also is by churning it.
That entire paragraph, he says, what will you get by being the authority of experience? And he has emphasized on, further he emphasizes that the person will never get disturbed or upset by anything happening around him.
Right. And if you look at it overall, I think it is the Murli, right, that is so important in this path of knowledge. Right? Because only when we read Murli, we will get points. And when we listen to Murli, only then these points will come in. Uh, and when we sit in meditation, right, when we have these points, only then we can churn, right? So when we churn, that is when we really stay connected with Baba, and that is when we really experience. That is when we can use these points in our day-to-day life, right? So all connected, everything is going back to listening and taking up this Murli, so important on this path of knowledge to, uh, seamlessly continue this journey of Brahmin life.
Agree, brother. In my experience, every day is Murli. Whatever situation or whatever is showing up in my day-to-day life, the next day morning Murli or something in that Murli that I must have read in the day has an answer to it. So I feel it's very personalized conversation that Baba has through the medium of Murli that uses an access to churn further. And it is very self-empowering. You don't have to go back to anyone to ask what needs to be done, but the Murli gives you the answer. That's been my experience. Radharani sister has put some points here. She says, we have to labor when we lack churning power. Then she's emphasized on the point that is, as is our portrait, so is our character. As is our awareness, so is our stage. Yes, sister. Anyone else would like to share their takeaways or the reflections?
Om Shanti. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
An experienced soul, an authority of experience, will always be full of treasures of experiences. So that is one thing. And eternally, the soul is always full of treasures and uh, blissful, peaceful, pure, eternally pure soul, constantly pure soul. Only when we are in awareness, right awareness, we experience all this. But when we are not in this awareness, we get influenced by the layers, different layers of false identity or the illusions. So yesterday in Murli also Baba said that Shiv Jayanti is Shaligram Jayanti, and Shiv Baba is comparing, that the Shaligram, if we can churn on this, the Shaligram represents all the treasures, the experiences, super sensual, joy, bliss, happiness, and bondage free, free of any bondages, the eternal state, stable state, constantly stable state is what is represented by Shaligram, the Shaligram Jayanti. So that is what the newness, always I am new, new birth. Along with Shiv Baba, I am also born. And once the birth is there, you have got new settings, which are free from body consciousness, which are beyond the sound, beyond time, beyond matter. And that's what is the blissful state and constantly stable state. Then automatically, everything the soul experiences. Only the right awareness is the key. Om Shanti.
Yeah. Churning with awareness gives the knowledge and either soul and access to bring that knowledge back on the ground while I'm playing the game of life. And of course, elevating either soul in my journey further.
And
And
Baba's,
even while playing a karma, a role, the soul has to do constant endeavor that to detach from the role, to distance itself from the karma or the karmendriya or the body, even the mind, intellect, and sanskars, and see in the eternal form, the soul is looking at all this from a little distance. And then you see how free the soul is, Then that experiences which Baba says, that is the treasure. How do you experience when you see yourself playing a role from a little distance?
True. And this all is churning of various points of knowledge. Yes, Pajit, you were sharing something.
Yeah, so Baba was saying this point, the first point of soul, right? So I am a soul, and like Wambai also mentioned, this soul, I'm a master. So it's just a simple word that I'm a soul, right? So first we get as a knowledge, and then the more we churn, right, we become, we experience one side, and also we become powerful. And you see in today's world, right? See, the world is full of people are living a fearful life, right? So fear of death, fear of losing something. So everybody has that fear in this world. If you see, especially in the Laukic world, everybody is looking at kind of security in their life. But when we have this point, pakka, right, when we can really experience this one word that I'm a soul, right, then we go beyond that fearful stage, right? We become courageous, we become powerful, we become, um, we know that we are eternal, we don't die, right? That really makes one courageous to do anything and to face all sort of problems or even the natural calamities or anything that comes across in their life, right? So um, just by knowing, because if you see on the path of knowledge, on the path of bhakti, also everybody knows that they are soul, right? But yet they are unable to use that in their life, right? So that is why when problem comes, everybody cry out. But somebody who turned that and made that just one point, I am a soul, right? And live with that awareness, right? Became an embodiment of it. Then they face it, without any fear, right? Any sort of a situation comes, they know that, okay, they don't die. It's just the body that I'm going to change. So complete attitude shift happens there. Knowing it is not going to make, because we see that on the path of bhakti, people know that I am soul. But here, when Baba says you are that and gives that experience, right, and teaches how to live with that, right, with this awareness. So that gives a different experience to face any sort of a situation. So knowing that I am eternal, right, makes us very much courage, right, to live this path, to live in this world, isn't it?
Yes, agree.
Om Shanti, sister. So one more
Om
point I
Shanti.
want to add. Uh,
Yeah.
So yes, in yesterday's Murli also Baba told with our Suya Sthiti we can face any parasthiti. So our stage is so important. So in today's Vani also Baba Jaisa your awareness. So how is your awareness and how constantly you are churning, then your stage becomes so powerful. So our ultimate is we have to maintain our stage. So today, the churning helps us to have a powerful state system. So Om Shanti system.
Yes, sister. Awareness is an access to maintain or to sustain the stage continuously. Only when we move out of the awareness is where the whole roller coaster happens.
And churning, churning converts the powder into the milk. Amrit. So that's another way that when we when we churn, we experience and we shift our gears in the right awareness. Ultimately the soul gets elevated and also able to help the other souls that are surrounding that soul also elevate. Another point of reflection I would like to share is that when the soul is in this eternal stage, the soul will look at every other bodily being as a soul. It helps. So if the soul is that stage, elevated stage, then automatically becomes natural to look at every human being as a soul. Otherwise, it's very difficult. Om Shanti.
Yeah, very well said, Omba. You mentioned fodder converting into milk, and that's an amrit. Baba's mentioned the point today that the moment you have right digestion system, the food that you eat becomes blood and it becomes one with your body. In the same way, he says, when the soul churns the knowledge and becomes one with the knowledge, is when you become powerful. One reflection that I was having is that's an access to become a deity soul. Only when we churn knowledge and become one with the knowledge, we experience with the knowledge, imbibe the knowledge, is when the soul gets back to its original sanskars. And that's the path, that's the journey that the soul has to cover in this confluence age to become a deity.
Om Shanti.
Yes, Amiben.
The power of churning is going on. So I would like to add something that as we churn, we earn. So Baba says the more the churning you do it, the more you get experience and you become more masters. Just like as the ocean divers, when initially they are just the swimmers, but as they learn more going deep into the ocean, they found the treasures and they know where are the treasures have been they can be found. The same way, the more we churn, we find the treasure of Baba and we can become powerful and become master of ocean. Om Shanti.
Yes, Amiben. Very rightly said. When you churn, you earn. And only when you earn can you save the treasure so that you can give it to others. Very powerful point. So before we move on to meditation, any last sharing?
I'll just add to what
Om Shanti.
Amiben said, learning, churning, and earning. So first we learn from Baba, our true stage, our eternal form, constantly stable form, natural form, and then we churn it. More we churn, it becomes ours. It becomes, take the ownership, becomes integral part of us. And then we start earning. Earning means pure and positive feelings for everyone. Everyone is my brother. Everyone is mine. The world is my family. And then the pure feelings, they emanate from the soul. And that's what is the earning. Om Shanti.
Yes, Sandhya-ben, you unmuted yourself. You want to share something?
Yes, I just want to know, sister, whether this checking and churning, do they go hand in hand?
Can you repeat your question? I lost your voice.
No, I just wanted to know whether the word check and churn, do they go hand in hand?
Would anybody like to answer this before I take on? So reiterate your question, Sandhya-bai. Sandhya-bai. Yes, Vijit Bhai, go ahead.
Yeah, check and churn. It can, I mean, it is like how you see it, right? Checking means always comes in. Baba said something, and you get a direction or you get a Srimad, and you see how much you are, um, how much you completed as part of, or every act that you did is how much it was as you followed it based on Srimad. Churning is again, yeah, you are thinking beyond what Baba said, right? So Baba will say, it's like you were saying, drama, right? So Baba will say, use the knowledge of drama, but churning will only tell you when you should use that word drama in your life, because Baba will say this, use this knowledge in general, but everybody will have different situation, right, coming in our life, right, on our day-to-day life. But only when we churn this word drama, only then it's going to touch with inside you that where all this can be used in your day-to-day life. I think that's what I get from these two. Yeah. Did I answer, or did I confuse you? Or was it making sense?
Yeah, I'm still just thinking over.
Yeah. So if anybody would like to add to it, please add. Yeah, so everybody's life is different, right? So Baba will give the knowledge, but when you churn that, right, only then you would know where this piece of knowledge will fit in your situations and your problems and so on and so forth that you're going across, right, in your life. Checking is again, you can do how much it has changed and how much it has benefited. That is one way of looking at it, and there are many ways. So I just shared one. Yeah. Thank you, Kamsan.
Rightly said, Vijit bhai. I'll just add one reflection that churning is something where we are first, the raw material is the knowledge, the true knowledge, and then we are, like what we do, the curd we churn it, and we get a more valuable product from the curd, and we use every product, and then even that the cream which will come out, the makhan, that butter, that will get converted into ghee, which is even more valuable. And that ghee has a very long shelf life, and it is very nutritious for the body. So in the similar way, the raw material is the knowledge, the Murli. And when we do the this knowledge from Shiv Baba, when we do this churning, then the jewels come out, you know, and the jewels which are useful, there will be some waste also which will come out. But the waste has to be discarded, and the focus is always on the jewels, which is our treasure, which is and also the experience comes. We experience while churning the super sensual pleasures. We experience something, something unique, novelty we experience, and that becomes our integral part. So churning is different, checking is different. Checking is, as Vijay also brought out, that how far I have progressed. When I face a situation, how I am able to maintain my eternal state which I began with Amrit Vela. Am I able to maintain that same state till retiring to sleep? That is checking. And the more I am able to use these powers in practical situations, the more I am reaching that destination. That is constantly stable, eternal, indestructible, imperishable stage, fearless stage, constantly bliss, constantly happy state. That is the checking. Checking can happen anytime. We can do checking in a minute, in a second, in an hour, in 2 hours, 3 hours, or 6 hours, or 12 hours. Om Shanti.
Just adding on to the churning that's going on, there's a point that Vinod Bhai has mentioned here that he says churning, checking, and change. That's the process that is putting it to us. Can be added to the cue, churn, check, and change. And when we go back to the example that you mentioned, Om Bhai, knowledge is the raw material, churning is the work in progress. That's the reflection that I'm getting. And when the product becomes, when the product is, product comes out after the work in progress is completed, is when we check the quality of the product. And then, as you rightly said, we discard that's what's not needed. So that's what checking is. And when there needs to be further innovation or new things to be done so that the product becomes more valuable and more useful, is what we say check and change. So one perspective to this is churning the knowledge, bringing that back that all of you mentioned to our daily practices, and it's going to be each one for themselves as their own experience, then checking the situation and then changing. That's the process or one perspective that one can look at to the question that you mentioned, Sandhya Ben, that you asked for, is what is the relationship between checking and churning? Hope that answers your
Yes.
question.
Yes, very rightly said. Thank you, Satya. Yeah.
And
I
the
got
key
it.
thing is to experience, sister. Until and unless we do take it to the experiential level, it is not going to work out. It's not going to yield any result in the practical progress. The experiencing, not just at the thought level, but the experiential level, beyond thought level, to the soul level. That churning has to translate into the experience. What the soul is experienced after that churning is what is going to come handy during the practical situation. Okay.
Let's move on to a quick short meditation and let's be in silence for a few minutes and churn the various points of today's Murli that we all are reading, which is Power of Churning. So whatever we listened and we were churning, let's reflect on all those points for ourselves. And what is that one point from today's Murli that I, the soul, wish to practice and become an experienced soul imbibing that point? Let's just reflect on that. Om Shanti. Have a wonderful day celebrating the Raksha Bandhan and churning the points of today's Murli. So, taking this knowledge, churning it, checking it, and changing and bringing that in the forefront is a practice for the day to take. See you all tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Om Shanti.